Well, how do you do again? This is Mike McGee, your DVD and Blu-ray film reviewer. And tonight is, because I'm shooting it at night, is 3D night. Or 3D week. And it starts the third day in the third month, I think. And, well, guess what I got? The Glass Web, finally, for the first time on Blu-ray in 3D. This noir classic that years ago I saw on AMC in 2D. See? Now let's open it up. Yes, it has a front cover, and it has the same thing in the clamshell, and it also has a pair of anaglyph glasses if you don't have Polaroid equipment, because it's in Polaroid and 2D and anaglyph 3D. Of course, I got plastic glasses for that. And, oh, it has a switchable box cover. I didn't know this. See? Which one would I like? Let's see, how would this be? Yeah, it has a switchable box cover choice. The woman that came from outer space or him, either choice. Now, let's read what it says. Gorgeously remastered, the very first time in 3D by the 3D Film Archives, film noir legend Edward G. Robinson, Scarlet Street, Night as a Thousand Eyes, spins Glass Web, the ultimate in shocking suspense. Television writer John Forth in Cold Blood, has been having an affair with an ice-cold actress, Kathleen Hughes. That was the one that came from outer space. Three Bad Sisters. While working on the weekly authentic TV show Crime of the Week, when Paula demands a ransom to keep the affair from Don's wife, Marcia Henderson, all I desire. He agrees. However, as he arrives to deliver the money, he finds Paula dead. Soon, the show researcher, Henry Robinson, proposes that their next episode should reenact Paula's murder and that he has incriminating evidence against Don. The twist-filled classic was filmed in three glorious dimensions by legendary director Jack Arnold, Creature from the Black Lagoon, The Incredible Shrinking Man, and The Tattered Dress. And the special features audio commentary by professor and film scholar Jason A. Nye with expert Mike Ballou and Greg Kins. Includes 2D and Blu-ray 3D and anaglyph red cyan 3D versions with one pair of 3D glasses, theatrical trailer and TV spot. So, what I'm going to do is that I am going to play the movie and give you my opinion about it. Well, I'm back, and here's how it goes. Richard Dennings, a 3D veteran, shows up with a team of Edward G. Robinson, a researcher, and John Forsythe, writer, for a murder mystery TV show. And in the beginning, you see these two people in what looks like to be a desert, which kind of looks like a set from It Came from Outer Space. And there's a well in the middle, and this woman and man comes close to the well, and all of a sudden the man has his gun and takes her and shoots her and kills her and dumps her into the well, and before you know it, you is in the movie, it is a TV set of a television show, that murder mystery. Turns out to be an up-and-coming star, Kathleen Hughes, and then in the studio you have John Forsythe's family there watching the show. His 2 kids and his wife, played by Marsha Henderson. And all of a sudden there's this commercial about cigarettes coming on. And it turns out that there's a problem with the show. The ratings are coming down, so they got to come up with some kind of big hit to keep the show going. Now this 3D noir classic was shot in such a way to bring the audience in the movie by photographing it in medium and close-up shots. Now there were 3D gags in the plot. When John Forsythe was walking down the street worried that they would accuse him of murdering Kathleen Hughes, one scene where a truck almost hit him and he stops in the middle and this ladder comes out and sticks out directly towards the lens. And another thing where a public street worker is hosing down the sidewalk, he almost wets him and then he hits, and then the water goes directly to the lens. And another scene where there's this wooden slide on the 2nd story building throwing out old brick and mortar stuff that almost hits him, but he goes under. A newspaper, a bunch of newspapers tied together from a newspaper truck being thrown at the camera. Now, it turns out that Kathleen Hughes is a talentless actress who's been having an affair with a researcher played by Edward G. Robinson to try to get her ahead, and earlier had an affair with John Forsythe. Now she's blackmailing him because he dumped her for $25,000. Now for the background music, Temptation, that had for years, the movie had copyright problems with that prevented it from getting onto home video. As John goes to her apartment to give her the money, there's a party that's happening next door, and he goes to the door of her apartment and starts hearing her arguing with somebody, screaming, but he can't go into the door because all these drunks are coming out, so he's forced to hide in the stairway until they're finished. And earlier, it seems like her husband was calling her up, his ex-husband wanted to see her. And it turns out earlier, Edward G. Robinson came in, and they were arguing, and that's when you heard it played over and over again, the background of the music from the song Temptation, played over and over and over again. And then finally, when the party goes down, he comes back and he goes in to the apartment and they're playing Temptation. And, she's dead. Now, some aspect of Eddie's character is based on real Eddie's character. For example, Edward G. Robinson was a connoisseur of paintings. So in his apartment as the fictitious researcher, he has a lot of paintings around him on the walls of his apartment. Now, you don't know who murdered her. And so it seems like earlier, part of the blackmail, Kathleen had got as one of his pajamas with a special tag, and he'd only give it to her as soon as he gives her the $25,000. So he goes into her room, goes to her back room, finds the pajamas with that tag his name on there, takes it with him and throws the tag in the garbage can. Well, Eddie convinces Richard Denning that he can make a better script than John Forsythe for the new murder episode based on Kathleen Hughes's real murder. Now later on, at John's place during breakfast when Eddie's visiting with him, Eddie blackmails. Now, I'm not going to tell you who murdered Kathleen Hughes' character. Now, on the comment, there's a discussion about the author of the original book that the movie was based on and how the book version was different than the one on film. Also, it was about in the 1950s that Universal had bought the novel in 1950, and it seems like that the author worked on television, and one of his shows was backed up or sponsored by a cigarette company. And it was saying that it didn't last. The ratings went down, and his first job, it was I don't know if it was his first TV job. It was canceled. So that's why he was able to write about the character that John Forsythe played in the film version. Also, I forgot to mention is that Universal, buying it a lot earlier, was going to shoot it in 2D, but with different directors and different actors. And when it was decided to shoot it in 3D, one idea was to shoot the television scenes in 2D and reality in 3D to show that 3D screens were better than 2D screens. But Universal executives had said no. In the comment, it turned out that Jack Arnold was viewed as a predator. He would try to force his sexual intentions on the actresses he worked in, and Kathleen Hughes had to do something to protect herself with. And back then, the studios would allow him to get away with it because he was a good director. But we don't need to cancel culture him because he's dead. All in all, the 3D movie on Blu-ray was worth the wait. The movie was excellent, and even in the commentary it stated that by buying these pictures, you'll contribute in more future restorations of your golden and silver age 3D classics. So, if you didn't like my review, or if you didn't like it, please comment on it. Bye.